Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to DAR, Diabetes and Ramadan Intermittent Alliance. Today, we will have an interesting presentation for all of you. It will be presented by Barakatun Nisak and myself, and we will be talking in a dialogue about nutrition and Ramadan and how we can avoid weight gain and hyperglycemia, and we can get the best benefit from Ramadan fasting. So I would like also to invite you to read the eighth chapter of the Diabetes and Ramadan Clinical Practice Guidelines, which had been published. And it is a very comprehensive chapter about nutrition and Ramadan, written by myself and Barakatun Nisak and Salma Maher. And you will find a lot of information. And today is just a teasing with some information at the beginning. So I will turn the stage to Nisak to ask whatever she had in her mind, and then we can go through some of the slides, and we will continue that discussion by myself to Nisak as well. So go ahead, Nisak.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Hamdy, for this wonderful start. Yeah. So you start the stage by saying this is very important guideline. I would like to start the first question to you about what are the 5 major goals of Ramadan nutrition plan when we first created this guideline. What is the aim behind, Dr. Hamdy?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. And I think we should start from that point. What are the aim of nutrition plan in Ramadan? And in reality, there are 5 major goals of Ramadan nutrition. The first one is to avoid hypoglycemia. You know, people are fasting for longer duration, and especially in a certain area of the globe, it is very, very long day. So hypoglycemia can occur, especially before iftar. The second is to avoid severe hyperglycemia. You know, people are fasting and feasting and eating significant amount of calories and carbohydrates in iftar, so we need to avoid hyperglycemia. And then the third, we need to avoid dehydration, because dehydration can lead to acute renal failure in some instances. So people are fasting from food and fluid, so it is very, very important to be sure that they are not dehydrated or pass into acute renal failure. Unfortunately, a lot of people gain weight during Ramadan, so we need to avoid weight gain during Ramadan. And finally, Nisak, we need to avoid any electrolyte imbalance. As you know, this can be also a major issue.
Interesting, Dr. Hamdy. After we understand the major goal of Ramadan nutrition plan, what is the most common issues that you identify, especially related to eating habit during Ramadan when we first developed the guideline?
Yes, we actually discussed this in much more details. And in reality, there is 9 problems that all related to hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia, and weight gain in Ramadan. First, and I bet everyone recognize that we eat a lot. And sometimes people are eating more than 1,500 calories in just one single meal.
Yeah.
So this is one major problem. The other major problem is that people consume large amount of highly processed carbohydrates and sugar. And in Ramadan, if you look to any country, how much they consume from sugar, you will be shocked in that amount. People usually have those lovely sugary desserts during Ramadan, and it is part of the culture, part of the habits, and people consume all those sugary desserts that raise the blood sugar significantly. People in between iftar and suhoor frequently snacking, and sometimes those snacks are very large snack. It is not just a small tiny snack. Sometimes it is like a whole meal.
Mm.
And then people are hungry, they come to food, they eat very quickly. And again, this is one of the common bad eating habits in Ramadan. People sometimes eat suhoor very early. And again, we will discuss maybe later that this is a habit that shouldn't be in Ramadan. People should eat suhoor very late. And it is actually an Islamic tradition as well. People are consuming a large amount of high glycemic index carbohydrate in suhoor. They think that, oh, I'm going for fasting. I have to eat a lot, and they eat a lot of carbohydrates in suhoor. And then, very common, especially in many areas in South Asia and Southeast Asia, people fry food, specifically in Ramadan, and this is again unhealthy eating pattern. And we shouldn't forget exercise and sleep. The sleeping pattern is altered. People are afraid to exercise. They omit exercise during Ramadan because they think that they will get hypoglycemia or they get dehydrated and so on. So as you can see, there is a lot of common unhealthy eating habits that occur during Ramadan.
Yeah, I concur with you, Dr. Hamdi. Even in our small study in Malaysia, we found the habit of eating dessert during Ramadan has been significantly improved among people with diabetes as opposed to non-Ramadan fasting period. Similarly, their activity physical are dropped. Yeah. And what concern us is that majority of the patient out there, they did not receive any pre-Ramadan education. So, to ask you further, subsequently in our Ramadan guide, we do provide all the healthcare professional with the Ramadan nutrition plate. Would you like to share your opinion how beneficial the Ramadan nutrition plate in guiding our patient and including all the 10 habits that you have just shared?
Yeah, that's very, very good question. And that's now in the core of the discussion on
Mm.
the nutrition plan. And I will just give you 10 tips for the nutrition in Ramadan. And if we follow those tips, I think we will have a healthy Ramadan for anyone with diabetes who would like to fast during Ramadan, or if they are not fasting, this can be also a very good nutrition advice. So, people should divide the calories between iftar and suhoor in a very nice way. Maybe 60%, 50, 60% of the calories are in iftar and maybe 40, 50% of the calories in suhoor. So, don't eat all in one meal and then make the other meal smaller, or don't make both of them are very big as well. And then people can do 1 to 2 small snack between iftar and suhoor. As I mentioned, it is very important that we balance what we eat during Ramadan. So between carbohydrates, fat, and protein. So carbohydrates should be no more than 50% of what people should consume during their meal. And I would say 20 to 30% of the meal will be protein, and the rest will be from healthy fat. So this is a very nice macronutrient composition. Unfortunately, a lot of people go with carbohydrates to 60% or 70%. We don't like this to be the normal way. And then I learned from you, Nisak, a lot about the Ramadan nutrition plan, and I will definitely ask you about it. And I hope people will follow the Ramadan plate. So that Ramadan plate is very important and very easy method as well. And we can discuss later on.
Yes.
I mentioned that one of the worst habits is the sugar-loaded desserts. We have to avoid them as much as we can. We need to move from high glycemic index carbohydrates to low glycemic index carbohydrates. Vegetables and fruits and whole grains, I think, will be much better, especially in Ramadan. And then hydration. Hydration is very, very important. But when we talk about hydration, we mean water. We don't mean sweetened beverages.
Drink beverages.
Yeah, water, tea, coffee will be fine without any sugar or any sweetness. Then they have to take suhoor as late as possible. This is sunnah, and it has a lot of benefits as well. So suhoor should be as late as we can. And then we have to eat in suhoor adequate amount of protein and fat. And we may explain why this is important, because this can last for longer duration than just eating carbohydrates and suhoor. And then iftar should begin with hydration. A glass of water or 2 glasses of water, 1 to 2 dates, no more, to raise the blood sugar quickly up. It has fiber, it has potassium, it's very beneficial. And then if they eat snacks, it has to be low calorie snacks like fruits, nuts, vegetables. This is what we prefer. So divide the caloric intake, 2 snacks, 1 to 2 snacks, carbohydrates no more than 50%, Ramadan plate, and we will discuss, avoid sugar, loaded desserts, low glycemic index carbohydrates, hydration, late suhoor, adequate protein and fat in suhoor, and then hydration at the beginning of iftar with 1 to 2 dates, and low calorie snacks will be preferable.
Okay, excellent. I believe these 10 tips is practical and easily manual from most of our patients. Okay, Dr. Hamdy, subsequently, you have mentioned about the Ramadan nutrition plate, which I will be elaborating them further. So would you also like to walk us through about the impact of macronutrient? Do they play a different role, especially in regulating blood glucose control during Ramadan?
That's very, very good question. And actually, people, don't know exactly what is the impact of each macronutrient on the blood sugar, and why we have to design a very nice meal for suhoor to last for a very long time. So if you eat high glycemic index carbohydrates, what will happen? In red, you can see the blood glucose will go way, way up quickly, and then way, way down quickly. That's what's called reactive hypoglycemia. So if you eat in suhoor, highly refined, highly processed carbohydrates or sugary carbohydrates, the blood sugar will go up and go down, and you will immediately feel hungry in 3, 4, 5 hours. While if you eat whole grain or vegetables or fruits, the blood glucose will not go as high as high glycemic index carbohydrates, and lasts nearly for the same period, but without hypoglycemia. But interestingly, if you start to eat fat, the blood glucose will not go way up and remain in the circulation for very long time, and the same with protein. So it is very important in suhoor to have more protein and more fat than carbohydrates. And if you are using carbohydrates, it has to be low glycemic index carbohydrates. And I'll give you an example. So look to this photo here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we have beans, which is plant protein with some vegetables here. We can put some oil and vegetables on it. It's very, very nice, low glycemic index carbohydrates and very good amount of protein. You have salmon here, which can be very, very good protein as well. Eggs are protein and fat, which are very, very healthy. Yogurt, exactly the same. Dairy food will be fine. Vegetables and fruits can be also fine. Olive oil. This can be a very, very nice healthy meal. You don't see that much high glycemic index carbohydrates in that meal. And it can be very good and very efficient.
Wow, this is beautiful and looks very tasty, which I believe it can sustain throughout the day during Ramadan. Dr. Hamdi, we have been talking about blood glucose regulation. What is your opinion about Ramadan fasting? Because people always thought that during fasting month, they wanted to lose weight. But when we look at into the data, basically the amount of weight that they lose is very minimal, or they may actually gain extra weight during Ramadan because of the common issues related to eating habit that you have elaborated. So in our guideline, Dr. Hamdi, we do provide some guidance on calorie management. What is your insight on that?
Yeah, in reality, people use Ramadan as a tool, or eating during Ramadan as a tool to lose weight. They will lose weight. They will lose nearly around maybe 2 kilograms of body weight during Ramadan, or half kilogram per week. And the way they do it is very, very simple. They will cut caloric intake nicely down, and I will recommend for all men to be on 1800 calorie diet, all women to be in 1500 calorie diet. But if the women are shorter than 1.5 meter, then maybe 1200 calorie diet. And all what they have to do is to split them, as I mentioned before. 40 to 50% in iftar, 30 to 40% in suhoor, and 10 to 20 for snacks. And this can be an easy and simple way. Okay, you asked a lot now. Let me ask you now.
Okay.
What is the impact of Ramadan fasting on glucose variability?
Thank you, Dr. Hamdi, for highlighting the critical role of macronutrient as well as blood weight management potential during Ramadan. Now, I would like to shift our focus to some of the unique challenges that we face in Southeast Asia, as particularly when it comes to dietary practice. If you can click the other, please, Dr. Hamdi. Click the other slide. Yeah, one more slide. Okay. So I would like to share with everyone about one of the interesting study among patients with type 2 diabetes in Indonesia. If you notice the significant post-iftar glucose spike, which occur due to high carbohydrate meals commonly consumed during iftar. This spike are followed by a period of hyperglycemia longer, perhaps during bedtime, which is, I believe, Dr. Hamdi, is very detrimental to our patient health. And if you look at into the bar chart here, the graph here, when we analyze the dietary intake of our patient with diabetes, imagine only during iftar is already more than 170 grams of carbohydrate. So as I converted into the exchanges, it's almost 12 exchanges of carbohydrate, proportionately about more than 55% of carbohydrate during just breaking time, during iftar. So it's absolutely very, very high, Dr. Hamdi. And this may actually impact to our patient health. Yeah.
So, Nisak, we have been asking, or we have been talking about Ramadan plate. And you designed a very, very nice Ramadan plate, and also you designed it in different cultures. So, can you educate us a little bit about the Ramadan plate? And I will put it on the screen here so people can see it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Hamdi, for highlighting the importance role of Ramadan plate, because previously we have shown how critical portion control among patients with diabetes, especially in Southeast Asia context and perhaps in other countries. So as you can see, the Ramadan plate here is emphasize portion control, not only about portion control, a variety of combination of macronutrient, which include low glycemic index carbohydrate, which is about 1/4 of them. Half of the plate come from non-starchy vegetables, as well as the 1/4 of it come from lean protein, including plant-based protein, like what Dr. Hamdi just visualized about the beans. This is a good source of protein to not only having low fat, but also higher fiber. high in fiber. All right. Beside in this Ramadan nutrition plate, we also visualize the needs of fruits that rich in fluid as well as sufficient amount of water to make sure that patients are not dehydrated during Ramadan. So all of this plate are a good translation from the 10 eating tips that Dr. Hamdi has explained earlier.
Very good. So I know it had been developed for several countries, as you can see
Mm.
on the map. Do we have an app that can help people?
Oh yeah, this is the uniqueness of our diabetes and Ramadan guideline, where most of the nutrition information has been translated into the Dar Safa app. So the Dar Safa app is a guide to ensure our patient not only to safely fast during Ramadan, but also practice an healthy eating habit, which can be translated indeed after Ramadan. So we do have this in apps as well as in the web-based version, Dr. Hamdi.
Very good, very good. And also, in the app, if people would like to lose weight, they can say, "I would like to lose weight," and then they put their age and their gender and their height and weight, and the app will define for them the caloric need to lose
Yes,
weight, and then guide them with very nice meal. So, give
absolutely.
us some practical application. Especially in Malaysia and in Southeast Asia.
Oh, yes, Dr. Hamdi. Before that, I would also like to encourage people because so far, Dr. Hamdi, in the apps, we have 10 participating countries. We open more for any other country who would like to share their own plate, as I will share some of our Malaysian plate subsequently after this. Yeah?
Yeah. So we
Okay.
have Tunisia, Egypt, Pakistan,
Mm.
China, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa. Oh,
Yes.
that's a good number.
So we
Okay.
welcome more so that it can enrich our database in the future. All
Okay.
right.
Encouraging
So,
everyone to download the app,
mm,
and the app can be very, very valuable for your patients. So,
okay.
practical examples.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hamdi has provided us with excellent foundation on the critical role of macronutrient in regulating blood glucose and satiety. So as a dietitian, when we work together in Dr. Hamdi lab, my role is to translate this specific scientific insight into practical strategies that patient can implement in their daily life. This is where the RMP guide play a critical role. Yeah, for example, as we visualize in this slide, how we can adjust traditional meal to align with the RMP 10 guiding principle. So if Dr. Hamdi can click to the subsequent figure, yeah, as you can see here, for example, sahur, usually people tend to take just a plain bread with coffee, and this is often lack balance, and patient would require more energy during fasting. So with only this meal, absolutely they get hyperglycemia and they get hypos during the midday. So what do we suggest? By applying the RNP dietetic strategies, we can recommend, for example, simple changes, as you can see, such as switching to whole grain bread, adding fiber-rich food like beans and salad, and including protein source like tuna. This helps ensure a meal that is both balanced and sustaining. Similarly, in our practice, for example, in Malaysia, the rice-based meal is so common, yeah, and it is a frequent challenge. As you can see in the slide, it's only an egg and rice, which absolutely increase the blood glucose immediately, and they get hypo during the midday. So by guiding patient to reduce white rice portion, switching to brown or mixed grain, and incorporate non-starchy vegetable and lean protein like egg and chicken, we can help them to achieve better glycemic control while also respecting their cultural preference where rice is our common staple diet. So So I would like to share, Dr. Hamdi. This is in Malay, we call pinggan Ramadan, yeah, or the Ramadan plate, where replicate what the RMP guide has. But what is interesting, if you can click further, Dr. Hamdi, thank you so much for guiding the slide. We emphasize the meal sequence concept. Here, what we would like to highlight, half of the plate come from vegetables, and they have to practice meal sequence, yeah, so that patient, because based on the evidence, when they sequence the meal, first start by vegetables together with the protein and later with the carbohydrate, we have seen the blood glucose is even more stabilized, especially during iftar. So this is one of the practical strategy we do provide to our patient.
Very, very, very good. And I know you did a lot of research about diabetes specific formula. And I know that you are using it for your patients in Malaysia. So can you tell us a little bit more about diabetes specific formula and how it can be used?
Yes, Dr. Hamdi, thank you so much for guiding me during this study period, and you are also part of the study group. So additionally, in certain cases, we have also incorporated diabetes specific formula to assist our patient, particularly during sahur, as part of their meal plan. This formula provided a complete balanced meal, yeah, which has been specifically beneficial for patients who are struggling with dietary adequacy. So as we know, we have a lot of evidence during non-Ramadan fasting, and this is perhaps the first evidence that we showcase. The result is remarkable. You may also agree with me. Yeah. So if we can go to the subsequent slide, where a patient who has been subscribing on the diabetes specific formula as part of their sahur, they improve dietary adequacy, where they reduce some of their carbs, enhancing their protein, fiber, and dietary calcium, and certain micronutrient intake level through the diet, as well as they have also improved their blood glucose control, especially at pre-sahur and before the bedtime. Yeah, if you can click to see the results of the self-monitoring blood glucose profile, Dr. Hamdi. Yeah. So this is the improvement in the nutrient intake as opposed to the usual care. Next. Yeah. And next, this would be the results of the next, Dr. Hamdi. Thank you. Yeah, so this is the results of the improvement in blood glucose, especially at pre-sahur and before bedtime. As what Dr. Hamdi has mentioned, fasting is also help them to reduce a little bit amount of weight, about 2 to 3% during the fasting period.
And people can use it as a snack also. You know,
Yes,
that's a very nice, healthy snack in between meals.
before bedtime, as a replacement for the dessert just now that you have mentioned, yeah?
Okay, very good, very good. Okay,
Alright.
I asked you a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Any other
Now, I heard that Dr. Hamdi, you have, in your setting, you have inventing one of the beautiful study about remission.
Yes.
And also you incorporated some of the principle of fasting. So, I would love to hear your thought on this and sharing the outcome of the study.
I think you are referring to the DROP program, diabetes remission outcome program, and it is designed for people who have diabetes diagnosed within 5 years, and they are just on one or two medication. We are helping them basically to stop their medication and get remission from diabetes. And the DROP program is doing very, very well now. After 2 years of implementing it, we have 80% remission from diabetes up till now. People are on no medication, and they are doing phenomenally. To 1,000 calories. And then in maintenance phase for 9 months, we give them 1,500 to 1,800 calories. So if people would like to do it in Ramadan, this will be a good idea. they can do successfully the first months. As I mentioned, those are 3 months with very low calorie diet. And Ramadan is intermittent fasting. So what people will do, they will fast for the 16 hours and they will break the fast on the diabetes specific formula, 200 calories, and then they eat a dinner meal with around 600 to 800 calories, and then they continue fasting again. So they can do it in Ramadan in a very efficient way, and then continue for another 2 months, and then beyond that, they can go back to 1,800 calorie diet. But maybe in the future we can discuss more. But I'm glad that you asked it, and I think people can definitely do it. I think we time we only have 40 seconds, so I will leave you to give summary of what we discussed.
Okay, Dr. Hamdy, it is my privilege to share the stage with you. As a summary, as we have discussed about the importance of balanced macronutrient, yeah, and Dr. Hamdy has shared the importance of 10 RNP principle and how we thus translate this into Ramadan plate, especially in the context of Southeast Asia where rice is our staple diet. The role of meal sequencing and perhaps diabetes-specific formula should be able to optimize the outcome. And Dr. Hamdy has also shared how this RMP can be extended and modified beyond fasting during Ramadan. With that, we thank you for your kind attention.
Cannot thank you more, Nisak, and I hope people will implement some of those ideas that we discussed. And happy Ramadan for everyone. And I hope you will get all the benefit from Ramadan without hyperglycemia, without weight gain, without hypoglycemia, without dehydration. And I hope you will keep healthy and happy. Thank you so much.